All right, guys, I'm back, and I have something very different for the channel today. Night vision binoculars. And I'm going to start out by saying, interpret the term binoculars loosely. It is optics, sure, but it is not binoculars by definition, but it is still cool. It is still cool, and it definitely does zoom in and out, switch night vision mode, manually focus, yes. It does all that, but it is not binoculars in the traditional sense where we think an optic on the left, an optic on the right, and they bring it together as one image in your eyes. This is all digital. This is all digital, and if you look at this, you look at this right here. The first thing I think of when I see it is, but anyway, this is actually, so I was offered to review this. This came from Akaso. This is a fairly expensive product. It's not like in the hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but it's in the hundreds of dollars price range. So this is actually not a cheap little object, not at all. And it comes with everything. Like it comes with everything you need right out of the box besides batteries. It does require batteries. Obviously, it's an electronic device, but inside, it's not a piece of junk. Let me tell you. So, we're gonna look at it. What the hell did I hit? We're gonna look at it in here, and then we're gonna take it outside in both daylight and at night, so you can see how it works. So inside, you've got two different carry options for it. This is a softer but still kind of weatherproof bag, right, that you can use, but it has a fairly rigid, it's got a little bit give, but rigid hardback kind of case that you can carry it in if you want. And I recommend, if you're going to have something that can cost you anywhere between, I've been looking at prices on this with Dave, 160, 180, 260, 280, whatever, depending on where you pick this thing up. I would probably go with this to protect it. But anyway, cool stuff inside. So, but you get this nice nylon reinforced container, rubberized handle, so you're not likely to drop it. Dual zippers, metal zippers, not plastic. Yeah, so well made. Let's get inside and see what we got. Inside the case, obviously, you've got the device itself, and we can take that out. And so here's a shoulder strap that's inside there, and I'm not kidding. Tell me when you look at this, you don't totally get the vibe of, yeah, right? But so we'll get back to this in a second. And it comes with a little protective thing insert here for the screen, and that's what you're going to look through. This is an infrared light. It's a big one too. This is actually the optic that you're looking through, right? And then we'll get back to that, like I said. We've got a user's manual. Not everything in this, by the way, it's a full color screen. Okay. Not everything in this is totally intuitive, really. So you do need to read this user's manual. And yeah, I packaged it back up so you could see exactly what it looks like when you take it out of the box. But I have messed with it a little bit so I can speak slightly intelligently, or at least not like a complete idiot when I demonstrate it. Microfiber cleaning cloth for everything. You've got a USB cable, standard little micro USB to USB to connect it to devices. And which is actually really cool because most things don't come with this these days. You've got a little 32 gig micro USB card to start using this. I forgot the highest amount. I think it works with like 128, but you can buy a bigger one if you want. It does not come with the 6 AA batteries that it requires, but it needs 6 AA batteries, and they specify using alkaline batteries. I have tried it with alkaline and rechargeable, and it works fine with rechargeable. It doesn't say anything about using lithium, which often is the best choice for like high draw electronic devices, but we can ask Olight how they feel about people using non-recommended batteries in their products. But anyway, so hang on. I've got just 6 standard Duracell alkaline batteries that we will use for showing this thing and how it works and everything. That's what they recommend you use. So the first thing you're going to need to do to power this sucker up is to open up the battery compartments. And you'll note it does have a mount here, so you can put it on a tripod for more stable shots, or this thing has a Wi-Fi connection we'll talk about later. And we got to mount up our 6 AA's. That's a lot of energy. It doesn't really say exactly how long we've got, but like with any device, if it's going to be stored or not used for a while, you should take the batteries out. Number one, prolong your battery life, and number two, you don't want to risk these batteries corroding and leaking and getting gross in here, because that'll mess up your whole device. And I'm sure there's many people that can attest that batteries left just sitting in any kind of environment inside a device like this, especially if there's humidity, moisture around, they don't do well, and you could ruin your whole device. So, step number one. Step number two, you've got a nice weatherproofed access pad here. This is where you're going to insert your card and where you can also connect to USB if you want. So we'll take the card that comes with it, and just like you're inserting it into any other device, of course, make sure you're following the model and don't screw it up like I just did. So my intelligent speaking on this device just dropped a couple IQ points right there. There we go. And now you're basically ready to go. You can attach the shoulder strap if you want or not. We're not going to for our purposes right here. So you've got all these buttons here. You've got a menu. You've got your, these are both the zooms and for the IR controls, okay? This is the OK button, and this is your Wi-Fi button, because what you can do to this is you can hook it up to a Wi-Fi network that, you know, however many other devices are on there. You can remote control this. There's an app you can install on a device, tablet, phone, whatever. And you can surveil an area covertly in the dark if you wanted to. But let's turn it on. You got to hold it down for just a little bit. And what's great is I can actually show you what this thing looks like. Now, it's zoomed in. It's got, we're not going to be able to see very well right here because it's a binocular and it only zooms out so far. So right here we're not going to be able to see much. And this isn't going to give us very good resolution at all. And in fact, it doesn't have great resolution. I mean, it doesn't. Quite frankly, what do we have here? And it'll say, I think we've got like a 1.3 megapixel camera, which is not fantastic. And then we've got HD 960 resolution on the video. So, but you know, if you don't want to pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a device like this, that's what you're going to get. So you can see we're at 960p video there in the corner. I have not set the clock. Is this correct? It is not correct. We're going to take this outside, and I'm going to show you outside kind of what the capabilities are in terms of video. And we're going to do that while we have a little bit of daylight left today. And then we're going to go outside at night and show you the night vision that it does. Okay, so what you're looking at now is in the upper right corner, you've got my regular Panasonic video camera view, you know, full screen. We've got the NV01 at its regular zoom mode in this 4:13 kind of view, or maybe that's not the right aspect ratio, but 4:3, whatever. But so what you're looking at is the one camera directly on top of another. So you can see what both of them are looking at when they're both looking at the same image. Like I said before, we don't get the same resolution with the NV01 that we do with, I mean, obviously with a 4K capable video camera. But from the same spot, you're looking at the minimum zoom for each camera. And, you know, for things that don't require crystal clear clarity, it's very good. Its image quality is good. Not great, but good. And now I'm zooming in to the 4 times maximum zoom on the NV01. When you hold still, you get a good quality image. It does have some blur tracking problems, as you can see when we move around. But again, good quality. And I have to state this over and over. You're not paying $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 for the top of the line, military quality, digital image stabilization kind of stuff. But what you are getting for the price you're paying is a decent quality optic. And so all this video, like I said, is directly recorded as I'm messing with it from the camera. This is the exact video that it recorded. You can see that in a daylight mode, color fidelity is very good. Color contrast is very good. And you can clearly make out all the images for what they are in real life. So here we start with the night vision turned off at night outside, and here it is with its night vision turned on, and this is at the lowest light level, light illumination level anyway. And while it does kind of take on the image of thermal imaging just a little bit, I'm actually impressed with how clear the image is for how far away it is. You can see here I'm turning the intensification of the IR light up, down, and then off again. So now we have the night vision completely off. We go back on, but you can make out, if you look, the individual panels on the sheds. You can see the grain of the bark of the tree at different zoom levels. You can make out individual leaves. You can see differences in the leaves. It actually is, for a budget, I don't want to say budget friendly, but a lower end, less expensive night vision optic, it actually does function pretty good. You can pick up a lot of the detail here on the shed as you look at it. A lot better than a lot of the more expensive, fancier, quote-unquote, night vision capable video cameras that I've seen on the market. So where this thing really does score its points is in the night vision capability area, and that is how they advertise it. It's a night vision binocular. So I would say that the night vision is really where it performs, and then the bonus is the daylight, the visual spectrum capabilities that it throws to you as well. But the image clarity under low light levels, really there is no ambient light to really see at all when we turn off the IR light from its lowest possible level all the way up to the bright. It really does give you a very clear in the dark image for the price that you're paying for this tool. So I'm very happy with the way it performs here. So that is performance outside for this guy. It's not bad. It's not great. For the money you're paying, though, it's decent performance. It lets you see what you got to see. I want to address some things about it as we go on. So I didn't do a whole lot of focusing as we were out there because I didn't look at things really far, that would require to change the focus. But the focus control is very smooth and it's very precise. You can make tiny, fine little adjustments. What we're seeing when you look through this with the night vision is not, so before someone asks questions, it's not what you consider starlight, okay? It's not passive light intensification. It's not it's not U.S. military standard stuff that, obviously you notice it's not green. If there was starlight passive light amplification, we wouldn't need an IR light to see anything at all. So this is not a starlight light amplification device. Those are way more expensive and can perceive much. I'm not going to do a whole thing about how that works. This also is not thermal. Okay, I know a lot of people tend to think that just because a night device image is black and white, it's thermal imaging, and they get that from video games. And yes, a lot of what is released to the public thermal views we use black and white as contrast because, thermal image, night vision stuff, what it displays to you is the contrast between hot and cold. And so two of the most contrasting color elements to use are black and white. And our military optics can display either what we call white hot or black hot. You can switch it for what you want. And there are some more modern ones that do different color, what's the word I'm looking for? Color contrast. But we don't typically, for targeting anyway, we don't use like predator vision. You know what predator sees? I'm not getting into that. But so it is very much like it's slightly more sensitive than your average video camera night shot thing. It does give you very, very clear, if you noticed, very, very clear slices of the night view. I don't know if I mean, this is a very large looking IR light, but I don't know how big the actual IR light itself in there is. I mean, it doesn't mean that this whole thing, it could be a little tiny bulb. You do lose a little depth perception. This wouldn't be great for moving around, just like older night vision optics like the PVS 7 Bravos and Deltas that we used to wear, which are the has one ocular coming out the front. Those are different than the PVS 14s that pilots wear, that we wear in aircraft, because night depth perception is important, so they're more like binoculars. But because this only has sensory input going through one lens and feeding into both eyes, you don't get a full depth perception view, so you wouldn't want to use this walking around and, you know, things like that. Hugely funny stories about the night driving qualifications while wearing night vision goggles, NVGs, and guys just crashing Humvees into everything because there's no depth perception there. Anyway, that's besides the point. The buttons here in the dark, completely unlit. Very easy to use though, because they are large buttons. Once you know what each button does, I mean, you've got great grip on this thing. They're very spaced out, and each one does a different function. So as long as you got, and I'm not even looking at it now, I know what each button does, and I know what to press to make it do. Fantastic. Great setup. So many fancy devices want to have these little tiny buttons and these little tiny keypads. This is exactly what you should have for a setup for something you're going to use in the dark. Very good feel for the rubberizedness on the buttons, you know, so your fingers can easily differentiate between what's on the background and the buttons. You know when you've got your fingers on them. Awesome. You know, it's something that you're not prone to drop either. Even this, I know these are pads for putting it down on a surface, but you've got the grip on the top, you've got the grip on the bottom, these little pads if you're going to be carrying it. It fits the mounting really nicely for the tripod. And I know I moved it around a lot because I wanted to kind of give a good view of like how it moved and all the resolution and stuff, but you could just leave this there if you want to surveil one little area. Let's say you're looking for game at night, or you're looking for intruders, or you just want to kind of have it looking at one thing without moving around. This is a really nice feature to have. Lightweight, a little front heavy, because this is where most of the electronics are. You know, you just have your screen, and this is the magnification lens for the screen. It's kind of all up there, but not bad. Not bad at all. I think it is, I don't know what out of 10 I would give this thing. It is not the highest quality, but you're also not paying $1,000 for the highest quality. For the price that you're paying, I think it's good. But I think you also have to recognize that you're not paying $500, $600, $700, $1,000 for the biggest, baddest piece of equipment there. If you want something simple that works, good. If you're looking for the very best piece of gear out there, this isn't it. Just flat out, honestly, guys, it isn't it. But for the money that you're shelling down, it's okay. It's definitely fun to play with and fun to use. You will not get the same kind of magnification that you might get in fidelity with a traditional pair of binoculars, because it just doesn't do that. But you get image recording, you get picture recording, you get the ease of looking through a screen instead of having to, you know, if you're familiar with actual fancy binoculars, you have to adjust the width of the cups, you sometimes have to adjust the eye relief, then you have to do the focus, and then even sometimes there's the up front that you have to mess with. This is relatively simple to zone in and get the view you want. So, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm saying there's a lot to think about in a product like this, because this is not a budget-friendly product. You are throwing down anywhere between, like I said in the beginning, 150 and $280 if you're gonna purchase this. So I really recommend that you do your homework and you look it up. However, it is a unique piece of gear to have, and it's fun. It's fun, and I think it you know, could be useful, especially if you want to be able to record what you're record what you're looking at. It's pretty cool, and to have that Wi-Fi option so that you can, you know, control it with the device. Like if you do just want to, like, maybe there's a nighttime visitor that comes around at the same time and you're trying to get footage of it, it's really cool to be able to do that. So anyway, ultimately it's in your hands. I'm just showing you real quick what it can do, and it can do some nifty stuff. Forgive my shakiness with some of it, you know, all swinging around, but I'd like to know what you guys think. Couple questions. Who has use for a device like this? Who already has a device like this and, you know, uses it regularly, honestly? Who thinks that outside of the Battle of Hoth, they would probably never want to use anything that looked like this? It is a very high-tech looking device, but I bet a lot of the space in here is just kind of, a lot of the space towards the rear is just so you can get a good grip on it. But, you know, who's interested? Who's not? Who doesn't like all the technology going into stuff like this? Who wants it to remain simple? I'm just curious. Let's discuss. I love discussing things with everybody. So I want to throw out a thank you to Akaso for letting me take a look at this. I'm sorry I can't say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but this is what an honest review is all about. It's got some pros, it's got some cons, and it's up to each of the individual consumers to decide what they're going to do with their money, you know? So, thank you all for spending another little bit of time with me. Remember that you are all absolutely awesome. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will be back again real soon.